A year on from a tourist boat sinking in Vietnam, we return to see what lessons have been learned.
By construction, by design, this hull and this type of boat is not designed to carry so many people.
Also on this week's programme,
it's one of the world's most popular tourist destinations, but numbers over the last year have plummeted. Join me later in the programme on the River Nile.
Later on the Fast Track Travel Clinic, how best to tick off the final 6 states on a grand tour of the US.
Hello and welcome to Fast Track. I'm Fiona Foster. Now, the cruise industry has been going through a difficult time as it begins to assess just what went wrong in the sinking of the Costa Concordia in Italian waters just last month. And it's approaching a year since a tourist boat sank in Vietnam's stunning Halong Bay, killing 12 people. That accident prompted a complete safety overhaul there. But has the crackdown on rogue operators gone far enough? We sent Carmen Roberts to investigate.
An eclectic mix of sightseers stream onto boats bound for Halong Bay. At least 2.5 million people holiday here each year, and about half of those are foreigners. And we can only expect that number to grow now that this UNESCO World Heritage Area has also been named one of the new 7 wonders of the world. But this time last year, the mood out on the water was very different. Last February, 11 foreign tourists and a Vietnamese guide drowned after their boat sank shortly before dawn. The valves connecting the junk's engine cooling pipes to the water had been left open during the night, swamping the hull.
The thing with Vietnam is it's actually been one of those places until recently that's been on the safety list amongst the industry. So I think it was a little bit of paradise lost in a way. It was a little bit of shock. But obviously when these things happen, you do have to look at actually what happened. The incident in February last year was human error.
Shortly before our cruise, our captain talked me through the safety checklist. There are 16 lifebuoys dotted around the decks and 6 lifeboats. Downstairs, every chair in the restaurant has a life jacket underneath, and fire extinguishers can be found in the hallways. Each cabin comes with 2 life vests, as well as an underwater light and hammer in case of emergencies. The paperwork ahead of each journey has also increased. All captains are asked to submit detailed logs to the authorities, and overnight cruisers are only allowed to depart at specific times. Most boat operators have welcomed these new measures.
Before we would be checked every 3 or 4 months. Now the safety inspectors come even during our cruise, meaning that at night when we are anchored, sometimes they come on boat and check the boat, check the number of passengers to see if we don't overload the boat. They check also the safety equipment available, they check the fire alarms, and they check the water pumps in the basement to see if we are being careful with all that.
Another way to ensure passenger safety is to build sturdier boats.
Our boat is a replica of a paddle steamer that used to be in Halong Bay in 1910, the bay. So by construction, by design, this boat is made for that. The wooden boat in Halong Bay, by design, were fisherman boats. So they were just meant to carry 2 or 3 people, and they were supposed to be a bit fast and sailing boat to go fishing. So now they slowly transform this wooden junk that were small wooden boat, very charming, very elegant wooden boat, into quite large tourist boat with sometimes 10, 15, 20 cabins. So by construction, by design, this hull and this type of boat is not designed to carry so many people. So I guess at some point this boat reached the limit of what you can do with such a hull. Then you must have a different construction technique and different design.
Maya Cruises is now building its first steel-hulled vessel called the Alcur. It will hold 64 passengers, have 32 cabins as well as a spa, and offer 3-day luxury tours around the Gulf of Tonkin.
The wooden boats aren't as safe as the newer boats. The lifetime of the wooden boat is 10 years, but boats like this, made of steel, will last more than 20 years. And when this boat is launched on Halong Bay, we hope it will improve the image of Vietnam.
An image that's very different from this time a year ago. Immediately after the accident, there was a lot of chatter on forums like TripAdvisor, with people pointing the finger at cheap, unlicensed boats and the so-called cowboys that run them. Some commentators even said if people had booked more expensive tours, this might not have happened. But surely, safety isn't just the reserve for luxury travellers.
No, price is not really a factor because now there is quite a strong competition in Halong Bay. So it's a very good value for money. Now it's really cheap to go to Halong Bay because there is a lot of boats. Probably because there was not enough regulation, I would say, and they let probably too many boats. And the accident is probably one of the consequences of this.
Last year? They had an incident here where people drowned, right? So that was one of my considerations. I said, you know, how safe is it?
Safety is obviously very important, particularly when you bring your family. Mostly it's just sort of, it's asking around, but also checking on the websites and making sure that they've got the right tourism licenses and that sort of thing.
So if you're a traveller coming to Halong Bay, how do you know if your boat is safe? Particularly if you haven't physically seen the boat or you've booked your tour over the internet.
My advice would be to go, same for airline industry, you want to go for the big players. You know, these people, they know their stuff, we know our stuff. So go for the big, cruise companies who have many boats, and you can very well see on the internet who are the big ones, and they have a big website, and they own many boats, and they have big operations. So these people have a good safety standard.
A year later, and the boats on the bay are brimming with tourists, and the perception is that this is again a safe place to visit.
Sometimes when a place gets the World Heritage Site ranking, it really becomes a free-for-all, and they do have to be careful because I would say that people wouldn't be staying away out of fear, but they would be cautious. When you look at Vietnam, they do have a reputation for regulation, and this wasn't something that had happened across the board.
Carmen Roberts from Halong Bay, where safety, it seems, is now at the forefront of everybody's mind. And if you've been there recently, do let us know what you found. Our email address is on the screen now. Now let's have a look at what else is making news this week.
Heavy snow and Arctic winds have been disrupting travel and flights across Central and Eastern Europe. The coldest temperatures in decades have closed airports and caused delays on the roads. Tourists are being advised to check with their operator before leaving home and to take precautions when travelling through affected regions.
Today I collected the kids from nursery school, and as I heard, it looked nice when the sea is frozen. We came to see the marvelous scene. To be honest, a few years ago I saw the sea a bit frozen, but I don't think it's ever been quite like it is today, with such a chill and so cold.
It has completely affected daily life in Istanbul. No shops are open and there is no traffic.
I actually find this weather really hard because I've lived abroad and I haven't been in such a cold winter for probably 5 years. I'm from Siberia and it's a lot colder there than here in Moscow. Right now it's -44 there, so it's a bit cold.
We're really happy that we had snow, especially in this area, where we don't really have the occasion to see snow. We're really happy.
Spain's fourth largest airlines collapsed, leaving passengers stranded across Europe and Africa. Spanair's in talks with the industry body IATA to refund people who've bought tickets. If you've got a flight booked, contact the company's sales office or check out its website for more advice on getting your money back. TripAdvisor's been told not to claim that all of its reviews are real by the UK's advertising watchdog. That follows complaints from hoteliers who say some of the comments on the site aren't from genuine travellers. TripAdvisor's amended its British website and says false reviews are outweighed by the vast majority of postings which are reliable. Burma will begin piloting a new online e-visa system this month aimed at promoting tourism there. It's designed to help people arrange their travel in countries that currently don't have a Burmese embassy. Police in southern Chile have arrested a man on suspicion of stealing ice from a glacier. Glacier ice is sold as a gourmet product to tourists, and that's why officials think it was taken. It was part of the protected Bernardo O'Higgins National Park. The glacier there is said to be shrinking faster than any other in the country. And happy lucky sushi day. Last week saw Japan mark the end of winter with its annual seaweed-based celebration. Eho maki are giant versions of the more familiar maki rolls you find in sushi bars across the world. They say if you eat them all in one go while facing the right direction, they'll bring you good fortune for the rest of the year.
Stay with us because coming up after the break, our consumer champion Simon Calder returns with advice on a rail trip through the heart of the US. And what does the future hold for Egypt? We examine its plans to fill those empty hotels and abandoned beaches.